Hello class, I'm going to go over a few things with you today, mainly how to start sentences and how to do some transitions. So in formal writing, you aren't supposed to start sentences with coordinated conjunctions for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Tolkien, J.R. Tolkien, does use coordinated conjunctions 6 times a page. So in fiction, yes, okay, don't sweat it. But if you're not writing fiction and you're writing a paper for a class, then don't do that. So then is also not a conjunction, but we sloppily use it as one. I do it. Most people do. Frank walked down the stairs, flipped on the light, and opened the door is actually wrong. You mean and instead of then. If you then, correct usage, compound the error by stating a sentence, and in dialogue anything goes. But you should know the rule before you decide to break it, and you shouldn't break it often. It's also weaker to begin sentences with the expletive pronoun construction. Expletive pronoun constructions. It's just a complex way of saying it and that. So it was, there were, there was. However, again, I can point to thousands of these constructions in fiction. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times is the famous one. So you should consider these upon revising. So we sometimes sloppily write, it was midnight when Marjorie left the office, when in fact this is a missed opportunity. Something like the full moon was directly overhead when Marjorie left the office at midnight is more visible. Even better, yellow moonlight streamed into the empty sidewalk when Marjorie blah, blah, blah. So strong image plus strong verb, much more vivid than it was. So when drafting, don't police or censor yourself so much, but when you're revising, keep studying language and think about what you're doing, make conscious choices. I go back and delete frequent similar beginnings of sentences, and I also go back and change things for varied sentence lengths because it makes things more interesting to read. And in Business Insider, which may be relative to your particular vocation, but it's definitely pertinent, is the idea of starting sentences with so. So, everyone is starting sentences with so these days. So, Fast Company recently attacked the use of so at the start of sentences, claiming it insults your audience, undermines your credibility, and demonstrates discomfort with the subject matter. But linguistically, the use of so at the start of sentences can serve an important function. CEO Mark Zuckerberg notoriously uses so to start his sentences. In Q&A, New York Times blog bits last month, he dropped it 4 times in just the first answer. So, Facebook is not one thing, he said. So, what I want to do is build a pipeline of experiences for people to have, etc., etc. So the word so begins a sentence 2 ways, before questions and before answers, especially during interviews. So at the start of a question often marks the beginning of a new topic that one of the parties wants to discuss, often called an interaction agenda. When I ask, so how did your interview go? I indicate that I've been meaning to ask this question for a while, that it's been on my mind. So the use of so can be used incorrectly. In the case of a research paper, it's not a great starter choice. So just be conscious of that. I just did it. It's impossible not to do something in poor grammar choices when you're explaining what not to do. One of the ideas that I wanted to explain to you about your book is the fact that the use of templates is not just fill in blanks. Other ideas within your textbook include starting sentences with important, meaningful words, such as, what is at stake here is this. These findings have important consequences for the broader domain, my discussion of X. The commonly used transitions from your textbook, they say, I say, includes transitions. This website, Library and Learning Services, talks about how it's difficult to start a sentence when you're doing an academic paper, but the examples of how to do that are here. This essay discusses. So you take the essay or the paper and you make it the subject, and what it does, the verb. This essay discusses. Whatever the topic is explored, is demonstrated. The issue to be focused on is. The central theme is this, and this essay explains this in what way. So that's what you want to do in your essays, is you want to be very clear at the very outset of each sentence and not make the sentences a waste of space that's important to clarify constantly what you're talking about. So in here you want to use addition, elaboration, example, cause and effect, comparison, contrast, concession, conclusion. So along the same lines, or in the same way, or likewise, or nevertheless, or on the contrary, or on the other hand, you want to, one thing that they call this is they call this holding your reader's hand. You're holding your reader's hand from one idea to the next, from one introduction of a topic to the next of a different sort of train of thought. And it's really important to keep holding your reader's hand throughout your paper. Even if your reader, for instance, is your instructor. Still important. AutoCrit is an editing service, and this website also discusses sentence starters. So the sentence starters that this webpage discusses are and, so coordinating conjunctions or joining words, not always used as coordinating conjunctions, and ing words. So as writers, we want to mix up our sentence. As writers, we want to mix up our sentence structures, makes our sentences more lively and interesting, but we have to watch out for these two common pitfalls. So using an initial ing, or starting with initial conjunctions, and, but, for, so, or because. So lifting the spoon to my lips, I thought about the day ahead. Using this too often can be distracting to the reader. Also, many writers use this incorrectly. So here's a tip that might surprise you. It's grammatically acceptable to start your sentences with a conjunction. However, it can be annoying if you do it too frequently. So that's the part that I want you to really understand from this, is that using this too frequently can get annoying. It's true for and, it's true for but, because, or, because, so. These sentence starters do start to grate on your reader. So using ing too often can also create a pitfall. Walking down the hall, I caught sight of a shadow disappearing around the corner. Jumping in surprise, I wondered what I'd seen. Remembering the rumors about a ghost, I hurried. So you can start seeing how these ing sentences get on our nerves. So vary your sentence style. If you're using ing to start a sentence, be aware that if you're doing that more than once in a page, it starts getting annoying for your reader. It's fine to vary your sentence style, and it's okay to start a sentence with and. You don't want to do it many times in succession. And it looks like you didn't bother to clean up your writing and look at your sentence starts and be thoughtful of how your sentences begin. All right, so just as you're thinking about your sentences beginning, I want you to also think about how you're joining with transitions from one paragraph to the next. Are you holding the reader's hand from one idea to another idea? Are you transitioning? Are your paragraphs in a way, are your paragraphs in an order that looks like you thoughtfully placed them there? And one exercise that I do with my English 111 students is we cut apart our essays when we have an in-class session and we scramble them. All the paragraphs are scrambled. And then we have another group put the paragraphs in an order that makes sense. And you'd be surprised how few paragraphs are ever in the original order. So the way that your reader would like to read things is not always the way that you wrote them. But be open to change and to moving paragraphs around and using transitions to help your readers, and checking your sentence starts just to make sure that they are varied and interesting. All right, thanks class.